Hi guys, Goat Mom here. I put some questions out on my community tab and they were predominantly family related. So I thought I'd invite these guys to come along and help me answer your questions so you could get 3 perspectives. Don't forget to pop by the community tab once in a while. Check it out. That's where you will leave your interesting questions and comments. So, because I get that a lot. Where can I ask questions? That is where. Okay, the first one says, I sometimes have trouble getting along with my family.
Honestly, I think as basic as it sounds, communication about your feelings is very important. If someone like a sibling or even a parent says something that offends you, or if they insult you, or if they say something that just doesn't, feel good when they say it, let them know on the spot. And you don't have to be explosive about it. You can take a deep breath, be mature about it, but just let them know, because sometimes people don't have an outside perspective of themselves, so they'll just say something and they won't really, go as far as to think about how it could be affecting the person they're saying it to. And parents do that all the time too. No one's parents are perfect, even though you look up to your parents because they're like your role models, they've raised you. They're not always right, and neither are your older or younger siblings. So your feelings are valid, so just make sure that you voice them, and when you do it in a mature manner that's clear and articulate, and you get your point across without necessarily causing a war to happen, because I know that some people can react pretty aggressively or defensively, and trust me, you have every right if you've been severely offended, but sometimes it's worth it to just kind of take a deep breath and be like, listen, Mom, that hurt my feelings. What you just said, that hurt my feelings. So can you please not say that again? It doesn't make me feel good. Yeah. Or if your sibling, destroys something you like, whether it's a toy, or if they scribble on your drawing that you've been working on or something, just tell them hey, that wasn't cool. I don't like that. It's okay to voice your opinions and your feelings as long as you, do it in the right way.
Yeah, for sure. Keep calm. Keep the atmosphere calm, and hopefully you'll get positive feedback, because you don't want to escalate anything, but exactly what she said. People are very different personalities, so I guess try to find what you have in common and talk about or touch on that.
Right, yeah, and then on top of that, communication is definitely the key. You have to learn to talk to each other, even in the face of adversity. You may find that your parents aren't into all of the things, or they may not understand all of the things that you're into, but always try and keep an open line of communication. And remember, you may feel like sometimes it's hard for you to find the words to communicate to your parents, but coming as a parent, it's also sometimes hard for parents to find the words to communicate to their children properly. So you have to find that middle ground, and the only way that you're going to do that is by expressing those feelings in a calm manner, and hopefully your parents and your rest of your family will follow in kind.
And you'll get better at it. We communicate better now than say 10 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Because we've practiced, and it's hard to say how you feel when you're not used to it. It's like riding a bike. At first you're really shaky about it and you don't know what to do, and then the more you do it, the easier it gets. And now we just blurt stuff out all the time, and we're super understanding, and we try and see everything from all the perspectives, and hopefully it'll get better for you. So just because it's difficult the first few times, don't be discouraged. Keep practicing talking to your parents or your sibling or whoever. Have some family meetings too, because sometimes it helps to get support from other members of the family who are probably feeling the same way, and you can be like, yeah, and they'll be like, yeah, that thing, yeah, let's not do that, that sucks, and you'll feel like you're supported.
Yeah. We used to have family meetings like that, where if we had a particularly rough week where every family member in the house was stressed about their own thing, and it all just kind of fed into this negative bubble, we'd all start to notice, and we're like, okay, it's time to sit down and talk about what's going on and fix whatever's causing all this to happen, because it's not fun.
Right. And sometimes, most of the time, if somebody or everybody is reacting, they're snippy, hey, that's my piece of bread, or I was watching that, or whatever, That's not usually the problem. There's probably something, if you trace it all the way back to probably 2 or 3 days before, where something bigger happened. That's probably it, and someone's just kept it inside and kept it inside, and then the dads kept it inside, and then the kids kept it inside, and then the kid mouthed off to sibling, and now the siblings kept it inside, and it's like a snowball. So if you can sit down as a family and kind of unwrap your snowball once a week, it kind of helps. It's a stupid analogy, but you kind of understand what I mean. And until you get good at talking, eventually you won't have to do that. You'll just always all talk right away. But until you get good at that, maybe at least have family meetings so that at least once a week you can express yourself. And be like, here's what happened this week I didn't like. Here's what I did like. Here's what's working. Here's what's not working. So, anything else on that one from you guys?
I think so.
I think that's what touched on.
Right.
That's the whole video.
I know, really, we summed it up. See how good we are? We can go now, bye. No, okay. Let's see if we can get any more details. Something I would like to have advice about is how to deal with bullying from siblings. My sister teases me and physically hurts me daily, and my parents don't believe me because she's younger.
I hate that trope, because I am the younger sibling, but these guys always believed it when my older sister would tell them, hey, she's being a little jerk, because I was
believe
a
your
little
kids.
jerk.
For the parents out there, believe your kids.
Yeah, first of all, parents, listen to your children, please.
No matter whether it's the little one or the big one or the middle one.
Age doesn't matter. At least give them the benefit of the doubt and listen to them. Get both sides of the story if there's two sides to the story. Most of this advice should go to the parents. The parents need to listen. They need to consider what their child is saying. And they shouldn't just play it off like, oh, well, you're the older sibling, suck it up. There's no way little 5-year-old, Mackenzie over here can whoop your ass like that. No way. I wouldn't believe it. Parents have to be a little more open-minded, because I was very little and I could still kick the shit out of my sister when I got mad. So little siblings are capable. So I don't know why parents have that weird trope where they're like, oh, younger siblings are angels.
No, we're
there's
not.
No way.
I'm the baby
I'm
also.
not an angel. I'm not an angel.
I wasn't either.
I mean, me and my sister love each other now.
Yeah.
But I mean, when we were
Same.
little and emotionally immature and still growing, we had our conflicts, and little siblings do.
We're
when
all
they grow
just
up.
stupid.
Children are just stupid. Moral of the story.
We're not developed yet emotionally and mentally, so
Children are very emotionally impulsive, or emotion driven in their choices.
So specifically, I would say have a meeting with your parents, first of all, without the sibling there perhaps, and be like, I need to talk to you. Here's what's happening. I'm talking to you away from sibling because I wanted to communicate with you on a mature level. Maybe you can also have a meeting with the parents, with the sibling, and be like, here's what's happening. We don't like A or B. Can we try C and D? See if that works out. I mean, it's hard, like she said, because a lot of times the little siblings get off scot-free because they're like, well, you're the older one, suck it up, lead by example. Well, what if I am the good one and the little sibling is kicking my ass? What am I supposed to do? Because you can't reciprocate, because then you'll get in trouble because you're the older one. I know how that goes too. I've seen it because I've been a nanny a lot in my life as well. So, I see siblings do this. So yeah, talk to your parents. But again, if you come from a mature place and not just you're whining about something, they're going to listen to you. And, eventually you're going to be an adult. So talk to them from an adult perspective that they can relate to maybe. If they're just used to kids coming to them with problems and they're just like, just go figure it out, kind of parenting. Be like, that's great, Mom and Dad, but I need to talk to you. This is really affecting me, and it's affecting my emotional health and my mental health. So
There's really two things at play here. One is obviously the younger sister has some issues with attention, most likely, so she's acting out. And then two, the parents are denying it because of for whatever reason, they don't know. I was on the other side of the whole coin because I was the older brother who tormented the younger brother. But my younger brother was the one who always got in trouble for it because I was always too smart to get caught.
You were the angelic one.
And he was not. So my parents never believed that I was the one who could be the one causing the problem.
Not perfect you.
So there's a lot of factors without having any specifics here that could be involved. But really what it boils down to is, yeah, I believe that you need to get together as a family and at least have some sort of discussion. There has to be some reason that your parents are quick to judge you over your sibling who's causing the problem. And then maybe there can be some way that you can redress with your younger sibling what it is that they're feeling left out on, and maybe work some of those issues out between the two of you through talking, and maybe alleviate some of those tensions that are going on. Obviously, just from my point of view, growing up with my brother, every time he acted out like that, it was because he was feeling like he wasn't getting any attention, either from the parents or from me as his older sibling. So
Right. Yeah, definitely. And maybe also see if with your parents you can institute repercussions, like that the younger siblings will understand when you have your meeting with them involved. Your parents can say, okay, and now from now on, here's what's acceptable, here's what's not acceptable, and if you break these rules, here's what's going to happen. And they have to have a consequence. If they continue to physically harm you or bully you, there needs to be a consequence, and your parents need to understand that needs to be 100% of the time, and that you have an agreement with your parents that if you come to them and you've been physically hurt by a sibling, they need to understand that is real, and then they need to have a consequence immediately. And as a family, you need to decide that in front of the smaller children so that they hear it, they know that everyone's behind it, and maybe they'll respect it a little bit more, but also just keep on your parents to follow through, because you have to have consequences. Because if someone's hurting someone at 5 or 6 or 7 and they're doing damage to siblings, they're going to continue that activity or that behavior up when they're 14, 15, 16, when they're bigger and stronger. And the parents need to nip that in the bud now, not wait till they're older. And then they go, I don't know what to do, little Jimmy's, 200 pounds now and lifts weights. He's swole. I don't know how to deal with him now. Well, you should have dealt with him when he was 5 and, kicking his sister. So, you know what I mean? You've got to deal with it now, and they have to deal with it now. So ask them kindly to please deal with it now, and explain to them why. Sometimes parents just don't know. They don't think of this stuff. So point it out. Let them watch a show. Let them watch Super Nanny or Dr. Phil, somebody that will give them some parenting structure. But it's very important to take care of that now. And you should be heard, because, not cool. Try to get to that. Okay, I'm constantly being put down by my family, who hates Phasmophobia, FNAF, Bendy. And I try to ignore it the best I can and continue to produce content for my own channel, but they're really starting to get to me. I don't understand why anyone needs to put someone down. I get it. No one has to be into the same thing, so I can accept they're not into FNAF or they're not into Bendy, whatever. I mean, some people don't have any taste. No, I'm just kidding. Shade. No, but the fact that they're putting you down, or you feel as though they're putting you down, is not cool. So I would have a talk. Back to that family meeting thing, but what do y'all think?
Well, coming as a parent, when Nightco started off with her venture here, I don't think there was ever a time that her mom and I weren't supportive of what she was doing. And it's really sad to hear that some parents aren't offering you that support, regardless of whether or not they understand or are into or share the same views that you do. There's just something to be said for wanting your child to develop and to feel supported by that foundation that as parents you should be creating for them. And I think that that's very important, and I hope that you have a chance to talk to your parents and get through to them to the point where they understand that you feel like you have no support, and actually are feeling like you're having anti-support, you know, if you're being belittled for it or whatever the case may be. I think it's very important that parents always show support for their children and what it is that they aspire to do in life.
Yeah, it's their job to support you and make you feel like you have a safe place to fall. Assuming that the things you are doing are healthy and productive. You know, I mean, they can give you advice, or they can say, hey, I don't think this is good for you. That's being a parent. But actually making you feel bad or saying negative things is not productive.
I'm a kid.
Pretend you're a kid.
Well, I know that, like, personally, I tend to get hyperfixated or quote-unquote obsessed with certain things. I go through phases, and Five Nights at Freddy's has been one of the fandoms that I've been the longest hyperfixated on. Like, it's my main thing that I'm really into. Like, it's the inspiration behind, like, what I create is in terms of, like, content or music. And, you know, eventually the time will come when I have to, like, branch out because, you know, things will change in the future. But I know that especially like during COVID, people are like getting into very specific things and kind of developing like a safe place by like surrounding themselves with things related to that topic, whether it be a video game or just a new hobby or, you know, literally anything. And I think it's important that your parents support you, especially, you know, since a lot of us are stuck at home where we can't really get away from the unsupport. And if you do kind of like, you know, get super into something, I would hope that, you know, you could talk to your parents and be like, look, I know it might be a little much, but honestly, like, this, whatever this thing is, whether it be Five Nights at Freddy's, Bendy, or, you know, Markiplier, or, you know, whatever you're into, just be like, this right here is keeping me going. Like, it makes me happy. I talk about it a lot because it brings me joy, and I'm sorry if it bothers you, but I would just really appreciate, you know, your understanding at least. Like, you don't have to be into it like I am, but at least I would appreciate it if you don't put me down, because right now it's one of the things that, you know, makes me happy, or, you know, gives me motivation to, like, you know, get up every day. And
something to look forward to. And I don't know, it's like, everyone thinks like adults know so much, but there are some things that some people just have never been taught or have never seen from an outside perspective. So maybe show them from a different perspective. Say, you know how when you put me down when I watch FNAF, let them know, like, how would you feel if, let's say your dad's obsessed with golf and that's all he ever talks about. You know, tell him, you make me feel bad, just like if I put down golf. Like, you know how you talk about golf and we all are like, yeah, cool, golf. But what if we were like, you know, that's so stupid. You're chasing around a ball the whole time. Like, who cares about that crap? Like, that's how it makes me feel when you talk crap about my thing. So it doesn't matter what the thing is, but could we as a family just support each other and not put it down? Because that's how it makes me feel. Or, Mom, you know how you love to bake? Well, what if every time I walked in the kitchen, I was like, oh my God, this is so stupid. Why are you even doing that? You know, just sometimes you got to give parents a perspective that they'll understand. Because although they are wise and smart, they may not have thought about it from another person's point of view. Because you're a child and you're watching something they deem childish, or a sibling might deem it childish, maybe they're not seeing it the way that they could, you know?
Well, I think too, they have to learn to remove what the subject matter is from the equation. And think just about that it's an interest. It would be like saying, well, one child is into these video games and anime and things like that, and you have another child that's completely into sports. But for some reason, why is it okay to support them in everything that they do sports-wise, but because you don't understand some of the things that this child is doing, that you don't offer them the same support and understanding? So, and I think a lot of parents may not think that way. Even siblings may not think that way. You may have a brother or sister whose whole world is sports, and they don't understand the video game thing. And they may come down on you thinking, well, that's just a stupid waste of time. You should be playing football or doing something like I'm doing, you know. So. And
I think that's because some parents or siblings think that it's more acceptable. So therefore, if somebody's into something that the rest of the world thinks is awesome, and another kid is into something that the world doesn't understand as much, then the parents are going to push for the thing that the rest of the world thinks is awesome. So, but that shouldn't be the case. Like, a person should support another person because of the person, not because of the thing. So, retrain everyone's brain in your family.
It's sad, but sometimes the kids have to teach the parents.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, because, you know, it's also sometimes a matter of, like, generations that are in your family. Because, like, us young generations are so, like, you know, up to date with, you know, things like social media and video games
memes.
And you know, like a very different online culture than your parents or your grandparents or sometimes even your older siblings are used to. So sometimes they just literally don't know, and because they don't know, they kind of alienate it because they don't want to understand, because it's either intimidating or they just don't want to waste the time, or, you know, something like that, where, you know, they haven't been around long enough to, or into it enough to understand it, so they don't really want to bother trying.
Yeah.
It's a lack
Totally.
of perspective.
I mean, and who knows, if you have the talk with your family, maybe they'll surprise you and maybe you can drag them into your fandom. And if not, that's okay, because maybe you don't like golf, maybe you don't like cooking shows, but it doesn't mean you have to dog on each other. You can support each other, but it has to go both ways. It has to go equally all around the family. You can support Susie, who wants to ice skate, and Billy, who wants to play football, and Jesse, who wants to do anime. You know, like, everyone can support each other. No one has to be like the other one. Like, it's good to be different. So, okay, here's one that says, I struggle with hiding myself from my family and not showing my true colors around them. It feels like I don't belong with the rest of my family, and it's tiring. It would be nice if I felt as if everyone could accept me for who I am. I can relate to that one because my family was super not into the same things I was. So you might be talking about something different, but as far as not fitting into the slice of bread, the loaf of bread, I was not a normal slice of bread in our loaf of bread in our family. So that's a hard one. Just stick to your guns and be yourself and be honest. That's what I would say. Short answer, but
Sure, and you know, everybody wants to be accepted by their parents, and you want to be able to be who you are, and you don't want to have to feel like you have to hide who you are. That has to be terribly lonely feeling. I hope that someday that you feel that you can, but you're not going to know until you do be true to yourself. It's sad to say that a lot of parents don't accept their kids for who they are. I feel that's terribly wrong. Trying to make you something you're not, or not standing behind you for who you feel that you are as a person. That has to be terribly hard. And I know it's a hard subject to broach with parents who you feel may not support you in that at all. And sometimes it can even be scary because of comments that may be made by parents or siblings that make you feel completely uncomfortable.
and it depends on what it is, obviously. I mean, it could be like, you know, my parents really think I want to, you know, they really want me to be a doctor, but you know what? I really kind of want to be an artist. You know, that's a hard subject to broach, but you know, it has to be done. I mean, you got to live your own true life. It could be something more deep than that. It could be, you know, that you don't identify with how you were born, or you know, it could be something totally different than that, and it could be a heavier subject that maybe they don't understand. So I would say educate them on whatever the subject matter is, or whatever it is that you feel like you are not living your true self. Educate them on that subject, and then slowly breach the conversation. And now that you know more, let's talk about me.
You know, and always also, you know, I have, being that, you know, I haven't personally come from that type of relationship, it might help to find some people who are somewhat like-minded that you do trust to talk to.
Correct.
And maybe go into that support together. You know, have somebody that stands behind you that does understand
Find
you,
a support
and
system.
maybe give you some help in how to discuss these things so that you can be accepted for who you are, and not have to hide yourself. Because ultimately, I feel like what's going to happen in your life is you're going to be driven to hang out with only people who will accept you for who you are, which is going to make you gun shy to be relatable to everybody. because you're going to have that fear constantly that you're going to be judged for who you truly are. And that's something that is probably a very difficult task for you to overcome in life, but I think it's very important that people accept people for who they are. Yeah, maybe if you do have friends or other people that you can talk to that do understand who you really are, that you feel comfortable with, start with them. Maybe practice on them and bounce some ideas off and find a way to communicate. The key to most all of these relationships is going to be finding a way to communicate where you're actually heard and you get there's responsiveness to that.
And in some cases, educating whoever you're talking to along the way. Like, here's the facts of whatever the subject is that you're trying to talk about, of who you are. I mean, it could just be that this person comes from a vegetarian family and really loves hamburgers. You know, we don't know what they're talking about, but whatever it is, you know, I don't know, how would you talk to us if you had something big that, pretend we're not the family we are.
Yeah, I was gonna say, well,
pretend we're all vegetarians and you want some steak for dinner, you know, how do you broach that?
Like, Mom, I'm gonna DoorDash some steak.
Yeah, basically. But if you came from a family that would lock you in a room in a tower with vegetables,
Jesus, then I would call CPS. Fuck.
Rapunzel, let down your asparagus. My parents won't let me eat this cow.
Oh, cow.
Oh my God, Danny just like, you can't see her, but she down hard. She like this on the table, and she took a lot of stuff out with her.
She's fine.
It's fine, she sends her
Just
love.
a little brain damage, it's okay.
Okay. My heart.
Yeah, and just to the education factor, you also have to remember that each generation is different. And so some parents are raised by their parents to only know or believe in certain things, and they may try to carry that down to your generation. So again, they may not have ever been exposed to some of those things that Goat Mom is saying that you may need to educate the parents about. You know, they're only basing their decisions and their judgments on things that they were probably taught when they were raised. So again, yeah, education is also key here. You know, maybe enlighten them to some of the things that they may not know about.
Someone's having trouble with animations that they're working on because they feel like they won't get them done. They're worried about them looking too perfect. A little like over OCD with them. They struggle with overthinking it. Do you ever have that problem? I'm not an artist anymore, so yeah, like that was way early days, so I can't relate other than saying like I used to have that problem with drawing. I was more of a sketch person, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I run into that issue a lot. I mean, every time I have a new project, I'm very like over analytical. I'm very like, I get into like perfectionist mode where I think that everything has to be like my best of the best. But having such high expectations for yourself is going to burn you out. Because if you're working on something and it's not working and you're like, man, this isn't like perfect, it's not like the best of the best, like, that's okay. Like, especially if you're working on an animation and you're trying to animate like someone jumping, or you're stuck on like this very specific part of the animation that just won't come together, and you just keep trying and you keep trying and you keep trying to like redraw the frames, or if you're 3D animating, you keep repositioning the model, running the frames. If it doesn't look right and you just kind of get tired of it and you get upset and frustrated and burnt out, then like if I'm ever in that situation with, oftentimes for me, it's when I'm trying to mix a certain part of a track. Usually it's during the vocal mixing process and the mastering and all that. If I listen to a section too many times over and over and over again, trying desperately to like perfect it, then eventually I'm just gonna hear noise. I'm not even gonna hear the song anymore. I'm just gonna hear noise and my own inner thoughts of rage. So if you ever get to a point where you're starting to panic because you're getting into that OCD mindset where you're like, oh, it's not perfect and I keep trying but it's just not coming together, then take a break. Or if you don't want to take a break but you keep wanting to work on the project, then move to a different section of the project.
Yeah.
Like if you're stuck on animating that one little bit of that person jumping or whatever it is that you're animating, just, put a placeholder, move on to the next section, or move on to a section of the animation that you're more excited to work on, and do that instead. Like, reward yourself. Be like, okay, A for effort on this section, but it's gonna be a lot more work than I thought it was, so we're just gonna scoot that section aside, and I'm gonna work on something I know I can do well, and that's fun for me to do, and that doesn't stress me out as much.
Because you gotta keep it fun for yourself.
Exactly,
Or you're not gonna ever wanna do it, and that's why you'll put the project off longer and longer and longer. So learn to train yourself when it starts to get dicey. Skip to something that brings you joy within the project, or take a break. But it's like taking a test. If you can't get an answer, skip ahead.
Yeah, they tell you
and go
like,
back.
Don't spend more than 3 minutes on one math question or something. Like, just guess and move on. Like, it's kind of the same practice, where if you're stuck on something for so long, maybe it's about time that you just move on to the next thing, or just step back, take a break, indulge yourself in some other relaxing activities that bring you joy. Because like I said, with music producing, and it's also a physical thing too, your brain and your ears can only take so much sound and music and sound waves before it all just starts to sound like noise, and then you're just going to be mastering and throwing plugins on things that shouldn't be there. So physically, for my ears, I actually force myself to step away from a project, because I will be in my studio for hours trying to mix a chorus together, and I'll realize after playing it for like the 3,000th time, I'm like, it just sounds like noise. Like, I don't even hear anything anymore. I'm like, I need to stop. So I take my headphones off and I walk away, and I don't touch it for like at least an hour, and I just give my ears a break, because I also have really bad tinnitus too, probably for this reason, because I'm so persistent.
Stubborn.
Yeah. So trust me when I say I know this issue very well. So literally, for my physical health and also my mental health, I do have to step back and know when to stop, because sometimes I don't know when to quit. And I've learned over the years that I need to recognize when the time is to quit, because otherwise you will burn yourself out, or your mental health will take a dive.
And don't ruin something you love because you obsess over it. Like, take that break, move to a different section, something, because you don't ultimately want to ruin something that brings you joy. So learn to take breaks.
Yeah, and it's okay to have high expectations of yourself and to always want to aspire to do your best, but when it comes to the point of anxiety and frustration, that's exactly when it's time to take a break from it and step aside and do something else. You can always revisit it later. But because you have to remember the reason behind it. Obviously, you're trying to be perfect because you're passionate about it. And just remember that you want to remain passionate about it. You don't want to become angry and frustrated to the point where you just don't ever go back to it.
It's not fun anymore.
Yeah, it's not fun. So
you don't want to focus so much on the perfectionism that you forget the passion. For sure. You don't want that one to drown out the other.
Yeah. Here's a good question. It's kind of along the same line, so we might just be able to continue with it. But it says, I'm giving up on big projects. I get really excited to start them, but once I do, I stop. My anxiety gets the best of me. Kind of the same thing we're just talking about.
I get it, because if you're one person and you're like, oh, I'm going to make a film. And it can be very anxiety inducing if you don't have a plan and if you don't have the backup. If you're going to start a very big project, what I do is I go very slowly, which honestly is like really hard to do, because when I think of a good idea, I'm like, all right, let's go. I got a good idea, let's do it now.
We're out the door.
Yeah, but it's always good to have a plan. So I always start with notes. I make a storyboard, for example, if it's going to be a film. I develop character bios. I really get into the detailing of it first.
Charts.
Yeah, well, you don't have to be as insane as me, but it is good to kind of lay out a groundwork for what you want to build up from. Because if you just say, I'm going to make a fan-made Five Nights at Freddy's movie, I'm going to do it. and then you think about it and you're like, but where do I start? Then you're gonna kind of, you're gonna get lost, and you're gonna think about all of the parts of filmmaking, like having a camera person, getting the actors, making a script, and it's all
microphone.
And it's all gonna kind of get overwhelming. So if you just start from the ground and work your way up, then it's a lot easier to compartmentalize and organize your ideas so that it's less anxiety inducing and less overwhelming. So like start with the very, very basics, kind of like writing an essay. Like start with the brainstorming, think of what ideas you want to keep in, what ideas you want to throw out. If you have like, some friends that you think would be into it, shoot them a message, be like, hey, if I were to like experiment with doing a movie or a play of some kind based on a video game, or if they know what Five Nights at Freddy's is, you can be like, hey, FNAF fan, my dear friend of mine, you want to join in on a project? And kind of give them some of the information or like where your ideas are at. And just gather the support, develop a plan, because following a plan in an organized manner will really help reduce your stress. Because one thing about Vanessa into Madness is it has so much to it that when I first even thought about doing it, I felt overwhelmed, because I was like, okay, is it going to be a movie? Is it going to be a series? Like, I want to do a lot, but is it going to be a series or is it going to be a movie? Like, how long will it be? How many people? I don't have friends. So I'm like, how do I get people? And then, you just kind of go through this, cyclical hell of like, can I actually do this or can I not? But I didn't think about whether or not I'd have the people. I didn't think about whether or not I'd have the good cameras. I literally just focused on, yes, I want to do it. And I started with that mindset, and I just started writing a script. I started playing around with like brainstorming ideas, what my interpretation of Vanessa was. Like I started very, very basic, and then I worked my way up. And once I had like a script kind of ready, then I kind of started reaching out to people I knew. It was like, hey, I'm thinking of doing this. Like, would you be interested? And then I started, kind of like just touching base with people I knew would be interested. And I just kind of built my way up slowly and steadily. But
it's like making a pizza. You start with your base. Your idea is the crust. It's the dough. You add stuff to it ever so slowly. You take stuff out before you bake it. You have plenty of time to change things, scrap things, add new things. Just take your time, man, and have fun.
Basically the moral of the story is have fun with it. Try not to stress out about it. Having a plan always helps. Just try not to overwhelm yourself with the idea. It's actually really easy to make a film, or, again, I don't know if that's like the specific big project that you would be talking about. It could be any big project, but I'm just using filmmaking because that's like my main go-to whenever I do a big project.
It's gone.
Goodbye. There it went. There's my last brain cell. Goodbye. We all forgot that was already 5 seconds ago. It was so long ago.
ADD.
I don't remember.
On the film.
Basically, the moral of the story is have a plan and go slowly, have fun with it. There really is no harm in just jumping into it if you just want to roll the camera and just go for it. Go for it. You can always practice your acting if you're doing like a film or something, but it does usually help if you start with the very basics and create a organized plan or schedule for yourself.
And have patience with yourself. Like, know that with me, if I get a big idea, like I just want to do it and I want to see it and I want the result. And when you're like ADD or like super full of ideas or a spaz like I am, you want to see it immediately, and sometimes you lose steam if you can't make it happen immediately. But so have patience with yourself. Realize that it is steps. It's like building a pizza or a sandwich. It's going to take layers and time. And so be very excited, but also tell yourself, okay, I can stay very excited, and that's my big picture. But getting there, I need to like retrain my brain. It's going to take steps to get there. So be calm and enjoy the journey. Like, don't get down because you can't get there immediately, because that's usually what puts me back off, is that it takes me too long to get there. So don't get down on yourself.
Yeah, and you definitely want to start out, if you're doing a really big project, having some sort of outline or an organizational map on what your big ideas are that you want to hit on. But don't try to take that entire spectrum and make it happen all
at once
from the beginning.
Yeah.
You have to kind of let things happen organically. I know just from experiencing the whole movie making process with Nightco that a lot of the best things happened as we were just going along, and ideas would change and they would morph, and there was no stress involved. You just kind of have to go with it and take it in small bits. Don't sit and think, oh my God, how am I going to get from point A to point Z and get this all done in a certain time frame, because you will overwhelm yourself. When she first started writing the script to this, it was massive. And we all thought, oh my God, how are you going to do this? But then as we said, you know what, we're just going to get started, and she started just getting into it, things just started coming and everything was falling into place. It wasn't stressful really at all. I mean, there were some stressful moments, of course, but the whole thing wasn't stressful. I don't feel like we were all overwhelmed at any point going, oh my God, this is never going to come to fruition. It's never going to happen. And I think that's what you have to look at, is you take that big project in small doses and let it evolve as it goes. Don't be too rigid.
I was just gonna say
Don't
that.
be too rigid in how you want it to develop, because if you are and things don't go the way you want, then that can also be extremely overwhelming. You have to be able to accept to bend a little bit here and there and be flexible. So,
or you'll make yourself nuts.
If you guys knew how many times I would change scenes on the spot as of recording them, I would lose count, because we go off script so often, simply because as the director, as we're going through the scene, I'm like, you know what, let's do another take, but let's do it this way this time, just for fun. And then we do it and I'm like, yeah, see, that's the one. I'm like, see, we're not even on the script anymore, but this was so much better.
It's
like
organic.
Exactly, it felt more natural. So sometimes like things will just happen and it'll be even better than what your rigid standards had in mind in the first place. So
that happens with drawing too, I just like to say, or sculpting.
Yeah.
Like sculpting or drawing. I used to mess something up and then I'd be like, wait, but that looks like and change it and be like, oh, it's beautiful. So yeah, you don't know. Happy accidents, man.
yeah, it's a Bob Ross.
Wow. We all said his name at the same time.
PBS, you can send us that $20.
Yeah, sponsor us.
Sponsored by PBS. I sometimes have trouble staying motivated to do stuff. I don't only mean with my projects, but sometimes like I don't eat because I can't make myself eat what we have. Or I can't make myself make something to eat. I get picky sometimes and I hate my pickiness. I don't know how to get myself more motivated to make myself eat other food and make food.
I mean, food is a lot of work sometimes, you know?
Right. Love
get it.
ramen.
Yeah.
Ramen
Like I
people.
said, I eat like a garbage can sometimes because I'm lazy.
We've all been there, you know, you get up and you want to toast, bacon, and eggs, no Pop-Tart. That's it.
Yeah.
So bad for you though. But yeah. You have to, I'm just going to say, coming from a person who has been super skinny and then super not, and everything in between. I've always been sort of an athlete though, or a dancer, so health is always important to me, but also I had to learn to let that go a little bit and have some fun in life. So like, give yourself the benefit of the doubt, give yourself a break. Just because you don't eat healthy every minute of the day, it's cool to have that unhealthy snack or that quick ramen. We do it all the time. But as far as being motivated to do it, you gotta love yourself, man. You gotta make sure water, food, you know, and you're worth it, like no matter what.
Sometimes I like to think of my body as a domesticated pet.
There you go.
If my body were my pet cat, I would feed it every day and I would feed it good food because it's like a family member to me. I would make sure it had water and a shelter, and like I would make sure that it had enrichment and access to things that made it happy or playful or, you know, fulfilled in life. Like sometimes if you look at your body as if like it's a pet, which sounds weird.
Or
it
your
sounds
child
weird.
self.
Or yeah, or like if you think of yourself as like, you know, a child that you have to take care of, like you're babysitting yourself or something. Like, you know, you would make the kid a sandwich, like a PB&J or something that's like, you know, healthy but a treat. You know, you take good care of that, you know, person or animal. So sometimes if you think of your body like it's, not, I wouldn't say not yours, but just kind of like a different perspective, I guess.
Yeah.
Just look at your body as if it's like your temple and you need to nourish it and take care of it, because it really is. It's like your temple. It's everything,
It's the only car you're going to drive around this world this time.
Yeah.
And just remember too that even though you're not motivated maybe right now to take the best care of yourself, you should be, because you don't even know the amazing things coming around the corner for you. You haven't met maybe your soulmate, or seen your beautiful children or grandchildren, you know what I mean? Or met that person you've always wanted to meet, or that famous person, or wrote that book, or whatever. Like, you can't even imagine the things that are in store for you. So take care of the vessel that's going to get you there, because you only have one. And trust me, stuff can come around the corner and wipe out your vessel real fast. So yeah, take good care of it and make yourself important. And like she said, treat it like it's your cute little kitten, and that little kitten needs some food.
I'm just like, it's okay, body. It's okay.
It's okay.
Get
We're
some
gonna
water.
love you now. We're gonna hug you. We're gonna give you a bubble bath and some treats.
Self-love and all that.
Self-love is very important. Very, very important.
Or better yet, if you're on your phone a lot, download yourself an app.
Yeah.
Like,
They're
there's
great.
these cute little apps that remind you to drink water. She has one that has these adorable little like chibi plants, and they get all wilty and sad when you
They
don't
do.
drink water. And then the app sends you notifications like, "Hey, drink water, your plants are dying." And then you're like, "Oh shit, you right."
And you can't
then-
cheat.
No.
No cheating. You have to drink it.
You have
push
to
the
actually
button.
do it though, yeah. But also, because I know a lot of people my age, are on their phones a lot. So if you have like an app or something that, kind of reminds you or helps you, build a regimen for yourself that you can stick to, that says, okay, it's time to eat a salad today. I haven't eaten a salad in like a week. I need some veggies. Or like, hey, I need to drink some water. I've been drinking soda all day. Or I haven't drinking anything all day. Like, it's good to, kind of develop a regimen for yourself. And sometimes apps on your phone can help do that for you with just a few buttons, instead of you having to like write stuff down on a calendar or in a notebook, which, I mean, if that works better for you, you can do that too. But I know that a lot of people like the instant gratification of things just happening for them, like notifications on their phone that just remind them.
And your body is super cool. I don't know how many people have realized this, depending on your age, but you're going to realize that the more good stuff you put in your body, the more your body will make you crave that stuff and not the bad stuff. So the more water you drink, the more you're going to crave water instead of Pepsi or Coke or whatever. And the more salads you eat, the more your body's going to go, hey, excuse me, can we have more of that? Because that was good. So listen to your body. Like, it's very important.
And I'd also like to just reiterate too, the app thing could come into play because we don't know, I'm not sure exactly why it is that you feel unmotivated, but in the face of adversity, if you're feeling low self-esteem, like you're not worth taking the time to do those things for yourself, sometimes having an outside entity like an app or something that you may feel bad, but it's reminding you, saying, hey, you need to go feed yourself because, it's time to eat this.
Yeah.
Sometimes that'll help get you through those times where you're feeling alone and no self-worth. And just help you keep focused on those things that are important, and that you'll get through that time period, and then maybe something better will come along. Like Goat Mom said, you have no idea what tomorrow's going to bring, so you should always keep looking ahead towards that. Keep looking at the horizon for that positivity because it's there.
And as far as being picky, this was the pickiest eater in the world for the longest time, and then she started doing food challenges, which blew my mind. And now anything other than mint sauce, she's willing to taste. So make yourself do a food challenge or something crazy. Just remember, just because you don't like it doesn't mean it's going to kill you, and it's probably good for you. So suck it up and eat the good things or try new things. And if you don't like it, guess what? You just don't like it. It's not going to kill you, well, hopefully, unless you have an allergy. Make sure you know your allergies. But you know what I mean? Like, get out of your head. Don't be like, oh, I hate apples, I'm never eating fruit. Well, find a fruit you like then, or if that's all you have, eat the damn apple. Your body is going to love you for it. So Find things you love and do it, and don't be scared. Like, fear sucks. Get over fear, because you'll feel so strong and brave after fear. And as far as support for food and drinks, there's a channel on my Discord server that's for drinking water. We all make each other drink water, or be like, how many have you had today? It's called You Dehydrated Noodle or something like that. So don't forget to go to the Goat Mom server, because lots of fun people pop in, and we support each other, and there's an advice channel on there, and a reminder to drink water.
There'll be a link in the description.
Yeah,
There might be, if I remember to put it there. There'll be a link in the description. I'm horrible. I'm always like, contact me, and then it's blank. I'm like, well, you'll find me.
You gotta work for it.
You gotta work for it. Anything that needs to be said or done?
No, other than I think the most important thing for family issues is communication. Learn how to talk to each other. The worst that can happen is, people won't hear you or understand you, but they never will know who you are or what you want unless you communicate it to them. And that's a lesson that you can learn all through your life, not just as a child, but even as parents. So.
And remember, hopefully everyone is doing the best that they know how to do, or they strive to do the best they can do every day, and everyone's trying to do a little better every day. So have patience with people, have patience with yourself, and demand respect out of people. You teach people how to treat you, so make sure you're being treated well, and that they know that you expect to be treated well. And teach them how to be treated well, because maybe they don't know. Maybe that's why they act the way they do, because no one's taught them that they deserve to be treated well, and they can learn to treat others well. So that's about it. Any parting words, Night Cove?
Live your dreams.
Live your dreams. Be yourself, man. Do you. Be brave, be bold, be strong. Do something cool today and spread positivity.
Live, laugh, love.
Live, laugh, love.
Namaste.
Live long and prosper. I can't do it anymore.
That's a travesty.
I know. I can't. Yeah, okay, whatever. Bye. Go Mom loves you.
No, she doesn't. It's a lie.